Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Thursday, January 15th. We're going to talk more portal. We're going to talk about Notre Dame's offseason as a whole and how we kind of need to rethink our vibe on how the offseason went for Notre Dame. I want to talk about the quarterback position. If Notre Dame isn't going to be taking a portal quarterback, what does that mean for the players behind CJ Carr and who might be most ready to help Notre Dame? We'll talk a little bit more about Teddy Gerard in that way. I also want to talk about the running back room, which is one of the few positions that were untouched in the portal. It was linebacker and it was running back mostly, and tight end. We can talk about tight end as well because that's another one, the untouched positions from the portal, and then, whatever comes up in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you hear, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so whenever it is we are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. ESQ is known for their next-level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics. ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online. They've got showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and use code ISD at checkout to receive 10% off your entire purchase. It's esqclothing.com. And I got to give props to my co-host here, my consigliere, Jamie. This is the fourth straight day of live shows for you. I don't know if you realize that. You're just like a TV man now. It's like you're a media guru. I'm obviously on the Monday show, but I'm not speaking. You're speaking. So look, props to you, man. It's that time of year.
I'm like a regular Stephen A.
Actually,
no, I don't want to be that at all. No, thanks. But yeah. I mean, hey, it's busy time of year. You got to hit and hustle.
Bunch of snow in South Bend right now. There was an update on the board
where I'm at too.
Ooh. Yeah, you know what? 78 in California. California's open, folks. 78 degrees. The sun is coming up right now. It's very nice. Tion Gray is on campus. There's an update from Matt Freeman on that. So he is on campus. He made it. I don't know how. I got Dave Caulfield, the resident weatherman for Hit and Hustle, Irish Sports Daily. He messaged me yesterday. He's like, I don't know if he's going to get in. Like, it's really bad. And I was like, they tend to find a way. So it is confirmed he is on campus. So, that visit's obviously a big one for Notre Dame. It's important. I think it would really round out the class. I think if they don't land him, it's kind of one of those things. Like if you didn't know he was coming at all, you'd look at the class and you'd be excited still. But the fact that he's on campus, if you were to miss, you would feel like, it's a missed opportunity. Could have gotten a 6'6", 330-pound guy to plug up the middle there. So we'll monitor that situation. I think there's a lot of good vibes. I also heard he might have canceled another visit that he was supposed to take. So to another university. So I think that's obviously good news for Notre Dame. We talked about it yesterday, Jamie, at the end of the show about how, Marcus Freeman speaking, it kind of vaults everyone forward in 2026 and gets everyone excited. I did kind of do some thinking last night, and I want to open the show with this. If you take out the PR, which is, as you mentioned before the show when we were talking about it, is just kind of within the Notre Dame bubble of the vibes and some stuff on Twitter with Notre Dame's not in the playoff, and people kind
the
of
Dan Wolkins of the world,
like taking shots and whatever, and that sort of thing. And so if you take away the PR and you take away the vibes and people talking poorly about Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman flirting with the NFL, if you just look at the facts, they signed a top 3 class in recruiting. maybe their best class since like 1990. They lost Max Bulla. They replaced him with Charlie Partridge, and that gives Washington the freedom to move to linebackers. So they replaced Bulla with Partridge, who you're very excited about. Very, very excited about.
Very excited.
Excited. They retained most of their roster. I mean, you're looking at probably would have liked to keep Josh Burnham. You would have liked to keep Billy Schrauth, but he went to the NFL. Beyond that, they retained the rest of their roster. And then this portal class, came together really well in the end. Like all the needs that they had, they filled them. And Marcus Freeman stays with Notre Dame. When you look at all that, I mean, you could say this was a better offseason than any other year besides last year when they played for national title. So that's obviously a huge deal. I mean, this was a good offseason. The vibes aside, this was a very, very good offseason for Notre Dame, and really, I think, sets them up for 2026 and making like a deep run and maybe favorites to be national champions.
Yeah, and I think and I mentioned in Six Thoughts too that one of these things where I think most people, at least a lot from the vibes that I got reading the board, like the ISD's board, after Marcus Freeman's press conference, and from like our reactions and like seeing people in the comments and when we recorded Hidden Hustle after, most people had a really positive take of Marcus Freeman's press conference yesterday, and we're pretty understanding of the fact that he wasn't going to say I'm here for life or whatever, right? Like, but I know that a lot of people, there are people who want him to say that, just they need that, whatever, in their own lives. They need him to say on there, but kind of like very much in the words of the Godfather, Mike Frank, watch what they do, not what they say. Who cares what he says? Look at what he's done.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned it, right? All the stuff with if he wasn't all in, he wouldn't be getting Charlie Partridge. If he wouldn't be helping land all of these guys in the portal and all of that. So I think the actions that we've seen from Notre Dame this offseason have been great and really like encouraging, and something that you'd love to get Gray as like kind of a cherry on top there for I think he'd be really important. You'd love to just randomly see some news that Jason Onye gets his a sixth year. Like, I think that would be great. But that aside, with like that pending or whatever, it's been like, I'm not about like giving letter grades for an off season or whatever, but you give it a good grade. Like, it's been really good.
Yeah. I mean, did they greatly increase their chances of being one of the best teams in college football next year? I mean, yeah, they did, especially the roster retention piece. Like, you look around the country and teams are just losing guys like Michigan, like Justice Hayes. Like, people are, kind of asking if Notre Dame was involved. Like, Michigan lost a 1,300-yard or 1,000-yard back, just left, and he goes to Georgia Tech, right? Like, Notre Dame didn't have that sort of thing, like whatever. Look, we like Josh Burnham. He wasn't that caliber of player, right? And so he was a good player, and it's not like, you don't want him to leave or anything like, or you don't want him to be around, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not, it's a different caliber of thing. And Notre Dame hasn't lost a player like that from their roster. So we've talked a lot about the portal additions, right? We've talked a lot about, the wide receivers and the defensive tackles and, Keon Keeley and the corners. There are positions that are untouched in the portal, one of which is quarterback. Let's talk about that real quick. Obviously, they have CJ Carr. They're going to count on Blake Hebert. They're going to count on Noah Grubbs, and they're going to count on Teddy Gerard. Of those three guys, I mean, we know Hebert has been in the program, so there's something there. I think that Blake Hebert, to me, is we need you for like maybe a half we need you for like a couple of series or something like that to kind of run things because of his versatility, because he can run the ball himself. But if there's like a whole game, an entire game, let's say 2 games that Notre Dame needs to win with one of these guys, in your mind, and this is very premature. You've never seen Noah Grubbs. You've never on Notre Dame's team. You've never seen Teddy Gerard on Notre Dame's team. And by the way, we're not going to see Teddy Gerard until the summer, I believe, if he reclassifies. So that's that. But kind of how do you see that playing out? Like, you talk about it in theory, but now it's like actual reality. That's what Notre Dame has to do.
Yeah, well, it's reality, but you still have to kind of talk about it in theory because of exactly what you said, right? Like, there's not, we don't know. So I couldn't give you an answer of like, hey, this is exactly how it's going to play out, or this is how I even think it's going to play out. Yeah. Because I think it's like Blake Hebert's like a perfect example of, it wasn't like this season we heard a lot of like, oh yeah, like he's a dude, like this is like he's going to be there like competing for that spot. Didn't hear a lot of that this season. Obviously we barely saw him ever get reps in practice or anything like that too. So I don't want to judge him based on like, his brief little appearance in the spring game or this or that, but didn't hear a lot about like, he's going to be the next guy at quarterback, and where that hasn't been the case with like, say, like a Minchie and a Carr and even Angeli and all these guys beforehand, right? You've heard like, you saw stuff and then you also heard a lot of things there. So this spring is massive for him. Like if it's kind of like this is the window for him to kind of establish himself and try to, if he can't win the backup job when you're bringing in an early enrollee freshman, you got a year on him and another freshman who's coming in the summer, it ain't happening. Right. So it's like, he's got to get it done. So it'll be interesting because I think he's a good athlete. He's a different player than Carr, and really different than the other 2 guys too. So it just kind of depends. But I mean, we've seen guys like DeShone Kaiser's the perfect example. People thought, forget it. Like it's not going to happen for him. He's not a guy. Then he proved people wrong, right? He proved people wrong. He went to work and proved people wrong. So became a 2nd round pick. So we'll see what happens with him. But I got to say that probably as of right now, I would say like Grubbs has to be the favorite to be the backup just because he has got the full spring ahead of Gerard. And obviously guys can win there, but he just has that extra time, which is pretty valuable, right? Like it's pretty valuable there in terms of where they're going to be. And to be honest, like, it's not like people are doing backflips about,
1 sec, Jamie. Breaking news.
There you go.
Tion Gray has committed to Notre Dame. Matt Freeman has posted it on Twitter. It is on the screen, so we will pause this conversation about that to man, what an absolute heater Notre Dame just went on here.
My gosh.
So okay, all right. So this is no longer hypothetical. It is man, they got him on campus and they signed him, man. Unbelievable. 6'6", 330, 200 snaps as a redshirt freshman, as you said, which is like a huge marker for you in evaluations on a player. Is this not exactly what they needed to put next to Francis Brew? I mean, maybe you could find a more seasoned player, I guess, but it just like he came from Oregon. That's the other part. That's the other part of this, Jamie, that is just it's just a shocking. I don't want to say shocking in that it happened, but it's just like such a difference. Like they're taking from Ohio State receivers. They're taking D linemen from Pittsburgh and Oregon. They're taking corners from Michigan. We haven't seen this. This is very different. This is very different from the way Notre Dame has operated. And I got to tell you, Marcus Freeman it's kind of like what we talked about. Look at what they do. Look what they're doing.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing here, Jamie. What does this mean? What does this mean for Notre Dame's defensive line and the team? I'm telling you, they're gonna give up 10 points a game. I don't see how teams gonna score. Anyway, go into it. Go into this move for Notre Dame.
I mean, it is actually like, I think they needed to. I mean, we talked about kind of all season, all like heading into the offseason, that they were going to need 2 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
Right. I always see people say like they need 3 or they need whatever. It's like, no, I think 2 was like what they needed, because you're still counting on guys to develop as well too. But they needed 2, and I think with like Brew is a perfect example of like, he is a 1-gap penetrator, pass rusher, Howard Cross, Kalijah Cansey type of player. He's not the kind of guy that, and I'm not that he's a good player versus the run, but he's not a war daddy guy that you're just going to say, just eat up this double team and let Drake Bowen cook, because he's not going to get blocked here. Like, and that's Tion Gray. That is who he can be. Because, Mike I was texting with Mike last night, and he asked me like, if I thought he was like a bigger Rubio, and I just said that's not really like who I even think of, because he's like so much bigger than Rubio.
Yeah,
and it's a lot closer to Jerron Jones, right? Like, and obviously he's still young. Like he's only played his second year, but the fact that he was like the 3rd defensive tackle at Oregon, he was probably going to start from this year.
Yeah.
It was going to be him and Barry Alexander there.
Yeah.
He is a guy that is like a 2-down nose tackle that can play at a really, really high level. They just don't have that body type. And I don't think, like, if people are looking and thinking like, oh, can he be this kind of person, like a Dexter Lawrence or something like that, like, chill, whatever, right? We don't need to put anything like that on him or whatever. And obviously Dexter Lawrence is, to me, is like a total unicorn of that kind of body type, or to be that kind of player at that body type.
Mm-hmm.
But can he be a guy who's like, he pushes the pocket as a pass rusher, also like plays the run at a really, really high level, gives you like 30 to 40 snaps of like quality play when you're playing a team that's trying to like run inside? It's like, good luck, like, that is the kind of guy that he could be, right? So, and he has multiple years of eligibility left. Like, this is a guy who's going to develop, and that is what Notre Dame, that's what they have been under Marcus Freeman, is they have developed players, and that's what they did. I mean, I'm certainly like, Al Washington did a great job of developing his group there. I think Partridge is going to do an exceptional job of developing these guys here too. And like him and Brew, they have years left. It's not like they're just for this year. So, but automatically adding them makes Notre Dame have a better chance at winning a national championship this year. And that's kind of what it's all about.
Tion Gray, Francis Brew, Keon Keeley on the defensive line. You could make the case that maybe you'd want someone a little bit more proven on defensive end than Keon Keeley. But given the fact that you have Bryce Young and that you have, like, you don't need someone to come in and start.
Yes.
Like that. You have Bryce Young and you have Boubacar Traore. When Nick Marsh signed with Indiana, it was we saw a lot of stuff about, that this is a declaration of intent on Indiana's part. I feel like this is the same thing from Notre Dame. again, taking from the schools that they're taking from, I think is a statement. Like I was looking for Notre Dame to go into this cycle and make a statement that we are going to win the national title next year. I think they've done it, honestly. I do think they have made it. Doesn't prove it. They still have to go play, obviously. They still have to go do it. But I think they have done that thing. I think there is going to be a ton of buzz about Notre Dame going into next year. The way that we saw kind of like Texas Tech, the way that we saw kind of Ohio State in 2020 prior to the 24 season. Like it is similar to that, in my opinion, with just what they've brought in and with your quarterback that you have and the defense that you already had that you're adding on to. I think they have made that statement, and they have done the thing that I think everyone was kind of looking for. Now that you look at them and the interior of the D line is kind of, I don't want to say solved, but you see what it's going to look like. What is the weakness on this defense, Jamie? How are you going to throw against them? How are you going to run against them? I don't know that there is a true weakness that you can point to. It's like, yeah, that they can't do this. Do you, what in your opinion, does it exist somewhere?
Well, I think right now, if you're looking at it, they secondary, no, just no. Like it's just,
yeah,
because of the depth they have there, really, right? Like, I mean, you can always do hypotheticals. This guy gets hurt, even if
no, I don't,
whatever, right?
But
even if you throw that in, they still have guys to play. Like, so were they better? Like last year at the beginning of the year when Christian Gray goes down and Devontae Smith can't play. Well, you're right at the beginning of the year when you're playing super tough competition. It's like redshirt freshman nickel who's never played and true freshman corner who's never played. You got to go in there. They're not in that spot this year. Like they have more depth and they have like the top end talent too. So they're at a great spot there. Obviously linebacker, they're loaded. It's the same guys who've been there.
Yeah.
And the one thing you could say is that I think, if Anye is gets cleared to play, then really like at defensive tackle, I don't think you can really, I think they're in fantastic shape, there. But I would say that in edge, I think depth there has to be, I think they should be fine, but you have to look at like where there's guys that not just like Keeley, obviously he is a bit of a question mark. So
yeah, he's not proven. He's not proven.
And it could be a home run. I mean, they just need it to be a single, just get a hit, like just be a guy who can play and then hopefully graduate to a higher level as you go along. But then really after that, they have a lot of guys on the team that need to like step up, like young guys that need to develop. And I don't know if Logan Thomas can play every down. Like, frankly, like if he still looks like the same guy physically, then no, then it's not going to happen for him. So that is a question mark. Chris Burgess, are you an end? Are you a defensive tackle?
Yeah.
Like what's there? I think he obviously is a very talented kid, and he could be a really good player. There's still guys there's still young guys that I'm excited for. They're at defensive tackle too, that I'm still like pretty pumped. So weirdly, I think like defensive tackle is kind of like in a better spot than end depth wise. But like Dom Hulak, where are you now that you've made your transition there? And like there, he's obviously a really good athlete. Is he someone who could push there? Like, Dunham, Ewatade.
Yeah.
Yes, those guys are going to play, but I want people to remember Bryce Young, perfect example. And Dunham is further ahead than Bryce Young was, but it was not Bryce Young that early in the year when he had to play because they had all the injuries. It was, a lot of it was ups and downs. It was a lot of waves, and there's going to be that with a guy if if a true freshman, it has to play there. So I think that's it. I mean, and obviously that's a guy you want to be. Okay, we can let him loose on third down and be a pass rusher. He plays 10 plays a game or something like that. You don't want him to have to play X. So I think that stuff has to get worked out. But when you're talking about like, oh, well, how good is this 5-star defensive end, the best edge they've signed since whatever, going to be, then those are champagne problems. Like the defense is loaded. They are just absolutely loaded. It's the least questions they've ever had on defense that I can recall. Like
with star power.
With absolute star power, with multiple guys who are multi-year starters who have played at a high level, Adon Schuler, Drake Bowen, KVA, Osbury, Sneed, Boubacar, Bryce Young, like guys coming back, rising stars like Tate Johnson, Luke Talich, like they're loaded. They're absolutely loaded on defense with proven guys and bringing in. And that's also why when you have those proven guys and you're bringing these other guys who still have to develop for sure.
Yeah.
But you're bringing them into a culture that's already exists. It's like they have to meet that level of the guys that are already there. Man, I can't wait to watch these guys. I cannot wait.
Yeah. And it's like, it's one of those things like once the ball gets rolling, it like Tion Gray, it's like you see, oh, okay, we got Francis Brew, we got Keon Keeley, we've got DJ McKinney, we've got Jaden Sanderson. And then to go along with the defense as it is, like guys want to be a part of a unit like this. So when he sees that, he say, oh, okay, we can be we can be real, like what we're talking about right now. Like these are the conversations that they're having with him. And so, it all kind of feeds off each other. I kind of think the same thing at wide receiver where it's like Porter and Graham say, hey, let's join up and play with this quarterback and we can be the best passing offense in the country. Right. Those are the conversations that they're having, whether or not that actually comes to fruition. But like, it just all kind of, and like, I think recruiting was that way too. It's like, let's build a dynasty, because this whole conversation that we're having is almost adjacent. Like we were talking about DBs, like that doesn't factor in anything at all about Kari Adams or Joey O'Brien and what they're ready to do when they get on campus. Right. Like it doesn't, like everything that we say, it has, like, we don't know when we talk about running backs in a second, we don't know what that means for, like, what is Javion Osborne going to look like? What is Jonas Walton going to look like? Like Rodney Dunham, like he's the best. We're talking about DNs. He's the best defensive end they've signed in forever in terms of ranking and that sort of thing. So it's just, it adds on to the kind of theory that I had that, I mean, they really won this offseason.
They cooked.
A way. They absolutely cooked. And it went for like 30 days, it's like everything was bad news, but it was like, we kind of talked about it.
They had it on simmer, and then it just,
but they just bumped it up. Like you did have to wait. Like you did have to wait for things to come to fruition. And when in the first week of the portal, it was like they're not signing anybody. Everyone's saying like these are the two schools that haven't signed anyone. And now look where they're at. And it was like 7-7 at halftime against NC State, and now it's 36-7. And the thing is that when you're in it, and I don't even blame fans for, they call it the bedwetting and everything. For us, it's easy to say, like, be patient and whatnot, right? Because that's our job to give people the, like, hey, like you do have to wait. You do have to figure it out. Like you do have to wait and see, because we can't sit here and emote about things that are happening when it's like, hey, it's still going, right? I don't begrudge fans because it's one of those things, like in a game, right, on Twitter or whatever, if they start poorly, people get very, very upset. And because you don't know how it's going to go. And so here we are at the end. Notre Dame has blown out the opponent, and they've set it up in a really, really good spot. So kudos to the staff and everybody. Let's go back to I guess the quarterback situation that we were talking about. In terms of like what that can look like, and I want to go into running backs too, because they didn't grab anyone from the portal at running back. They could have. They had feelers out there, right? But it has to be kind of the right person. There's like maybe one or two backs in the country that had they gone into the portal, Notre Dame would have been interested. Like Hollywood Smothers went in, and Notre Dame didn't get in on that, right? They were looking for a specific type of player. And so, but you have quarterback. Marcus Freeman talked about yesterday. It's very hard to kind of fit in the type of person that they need for this situation. So, I mean, where do you think Teddy Gerard can be coming in June? Right? Because I think for me personally, he is the one with the skill set of like, if you needed to win multiple games, you'd want it to be him. But like, how ready can he realistically be if he's only coming in June to do something like that, especially if it's early in the season?
I think it's tougher for a quarterback, right? Like it's different than because I think with like a receiver or even a DB, you can play in a package. You can't play in or I guess you can play in a package if you're a quarterback, but not if you actually want to win the backup job. Yeah. You know? So that's the thing. I mean, do I think that he has the most talent out of those guys? Yeah. He's more talented. Like, I think if I was going to say which of those three guys would win the job in 2027, it's between them. Teddy Gerard would be my pick for that. But I think for the backup job, it's like, I think there might be, because this has happened also before too, right? Where during the season, like a guy who's a freshman overtakes another guy who is more experienced and becomes the backup later. So this is what I think is most likely. One of those other guys is the backup to start the season. By the time they get to, I don't know, week 7 or something like that, Teddy Gerard is the backup. That would be my prediction.
Okay. All right. So we just have to monitor. I mean, this spring's going to be super interesting because we obviously know that CJ Carr is what he is. But there's going to be a lot of reps to go around for these guys, especially Blake Hebert. It's a huge spring for Blake Hebert. Like, because he does have the skill set. He does have the versatility that can help a team win games, right? So hopefully, the passing game and his passing ability, takes that jump that you would like to see from college coaching and that sort of thing. Let's talk about running back, right? So Aeneas Williams returns. There's been a lot of, kind of rumors about him leaving. It never made sense during the year because it's like, Price and Love are leaving. So RB1 is open. And so that's, there was an opportunity there, right? We know they like Nolan James. They've always spoken kind of on background glowingly about him. Kedron Young is coming off the ACL. I believe his ACL was during fall camp. So this was like August, Jamie, or was it even, it was August. So we're talking by the time,
it was like
spring
like
starts,
the second week of August.
Yeah. So by the time spring starts, we're talking about 8-9 months removed, which is usually about when guys start to come back from that sort of thing. So you've got Kedron Young to go along with Nolan James and Aeneas Williams. And then you've got Javon Osborne and Jonas Walton, who are both on campus right now. If there is I don't want to say Achilles heel to this offense. It's the most unknown part of the offense is the running backs, because none of these guys have been full time. Obviously, we've seen Aeneas Williams play well in big games, but like those are spot roles. They're not RB1 roles. So kind of how do you see running back playing out And how do you feel about it kind of going into, spring ball and the season?
I think they're in great shape. Like I would say too that I think they could have easily gone into the portal and grabbed someone, but I just don't know how much like considering how much I don't even want to know what Hollywood Smothers was paid to flip from Alabama.
Would you rather have Hollywood Smothers or would you rather have Tion Gray? And
you
Francis
would weigh
Booth?
it's yes, it's a question of need and all that, and like I just don't like they could have got one guy to kind of throw into the mix or something like that, who was like maybe there was like a small school guy that they really liked, and that was like willing to kind of say, hey, I want to come and prove myself. But even then, like that guy probably would rather go to a spot where he could probably have a good chance of being RB1 without as much competition. So I don't think it made really much sense for considering the depth chart they had and considering who was available, like who they were going to grab in the portal. By the way, did the Louisville kid, did he like stay at Louisville?
Who are you talking about?
Isaac Brown or whatever?
Yes, he did. Yes,
he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was wondering, cause I was looking and I was like, did this guy go anywhere? Cause I thought he would have been the top guy. He would have been the top guy. And I think to me, if there was somebody there that, okay, maybe you just push for that, he would have been him for me. That's what I mean. But without him, no, I don't think so. So I really like where they're at running back. And I don't know who is going to be, RB1. I think Aeneas Williams is a heck of a football player. Like he is going to play and play well this year. And I think his versatility is so huge because he's a guy who can play every down and block and catch and do all of these things at a high level. And he was clearly not happy, like being pushed out. I mean, he didn't make a big deal out of it publicly or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, of course, you went from being a guy
who wants to play.
He wants to play. He wants to play. And even if you understand why they're going with just two guys, it doesn't mean you have to be happy about it.
Yeah.
And he ran angry when he got in the game. And I think he's going to be angry and play like that this year. And I thought, really, obviously we only saw him in brief instances, but he looked better than he did, not unexpectedly, than he did as a freshman. So I think to me, he is the clear favorite to be RB1 just based on all of this kind of thing, like experience and versatility and all that. And I know people are enamored with Kedron Young, and I really want to see him because we just haven't seen him that much because he had the hamstring and then he got the knee. So I'm really want to see him. But I think Nolan James is a really, really good player. And I would not be surprised if Nolan James is like, man, this guy's like the talk of spring. Like it is very much on the table. And then the two freshmen, it's just one of these things where it's like with so many of the guys, and I think you kind of brought it up with like how we talking about how loaded the defense is. And it's like, we mentioned, because you don't want to just hand stuff to guys like Dunham or Joey O'Brien. But let's be honest, there's going to be at least a few of those guys, just based on talent alone, that are too good not to play. Like they have to play. They're just going to prove it with their talent. They're going to go out and show it. And that can happen with an Osborne. That could happen easily. Right. A Walton or an Osborne. Like, I think that is very much on the table too. So, I like what they have. I like what they have there. And it's just kind of going to be a question of who kind of separates themselves there, because there isn't anyone who's quite there's no one in the category of Jeremiah Love, and that's just reality. Doesn't mean I mean, I would say the two guys, both Aeneas Williams and Nolan James, favorable comparisons to Kyron Williams. You know, the guy who ran for 3,000 yards 3 straight years in the NFL.
Right.
The guy who was a stud at Notre Dame. So they're in good shape.
You know, it's funny that it's funny that CJ Carr was watching film of Matt Stafford because Kyron plays on that team and the Rams. And it's kind of like when you look at his numbers, like he's one of the best backs in the NFL, but you look at his numbers, it's like 15 for 71. A lot, right? But he's such a, like, they run the ball when they need it, and they can run the ball when it's like it's advantageous to do so. Like I just think we need to rethink about Notre Dame's running game and how they play their offense, because he's such a good fit for what the Rams want to be on offense. And I feel like with CJ Carr, like that is true of like Williams and James, like that skill set where it's like they're very comfortable going out in routes. Aeneas Williams has always been a good pass blocker. He's always had a good understanding of that. Right. And so I just think that their skill level and their skill talents and their abilities and their characteristics, like it goes along with the type of quarterback that CJ Carr could be. I just think Notre Dame's going to be so much more open in 2026. And I think they're a good match for Carr and that kind of style of offense. Again, the spring is going to be fascinating for like who is standing out at running back, because the line is good. The line is going to be good. The receivers are going to be good. Obviously, the quarterback's good. These guys, like, they're going to be in great situations because you pick up guys like Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter, and you already have, you know, the receivers that they have. Like the defense cannot, you know, like the USC stuff, what USC was doing, Notre Dame's going to see a lot of that next year, especially because they don't have Love and Price. Like all the stuff we've talked about before where it's like, oh, stack box, make CJ Carr beat you. You're not doing that in 2026. You cannot. Yeah. You will get shredded. So it's going to be very advantageous for Notre Dame to run the ball in 2026. It's going to be very different. The way that we think about the offense, the way that other teams approach Notre Dame's offense and defending them, it's going to be a different kind of feel. And so it's going to be fascinating to kind of cover. The other part of this is they didn't touch tight end. They could have gone that route. They decided not to.
I'm glad they didn't. I think it was the right move.
Again, you look at how it turned out. You know, would you rather pay tight end money to him, or would you rather have Tion Gray and Francis Brew? Like, these are the decisions Notre Dame is making. And there was a lot of, you know, obviously criticism for the staff that they canceled the day of the visit that Foley, and it's unfortunate for the player. He ended up somewhere, so it's fine. But it's like there's a ton of like, oh, they're a mess. They don't know who they're already this far in, and they don't know who they're getting yet. Turned out okay, but they don't have him. So right now they have Ty Washington, who comes back. They have James Flanagan. They have Cooper Flanagan. They have Ian Premer. They have Preston Friesel, and they have Jack Larson as their tight ends. How do you feel about, like, James Flanagan's played, and I know they're excited. Like, is Ty Washington going to be your first tight end, right? Is he going to win the job as the guy? Do you think James Flanagan can do it? I know that Cooper Flanagan's coming off a serious injury, so that's something for him. What's your comfort level with the tight end position right now?
Oh, I think they're going to be. I think they're in a great shape. I really do because one, I think,
go ahead.
One, I think Cooper Flanagan is coming off. I mean, he missed the full year, and now we'll have another. So it's going to be like 18, 19, 20 months or whatever by the season with his Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
He's and he would have played in the playoffs more than he did. And he obviously played a tiny little bit this year, but like that is, he got a red shirt this year. He still has 2 years of eligibility left. He is going to play and be a very good player. I think James Flammang would be my pick to win the tight end, be the tight end one. And obviously there's still things that you need to see from him as a receiver and all of that too. But I think he's an animal getting after it as a run blocker. I think he's an exceptional athlete. I think, when we're talking about like who's got that dog in him, he's got that dog in him. Like he's just got that same thing as his old man, except for he's a much better athlete than his old man and as a tight end and stuff too. So I think like, not that I don't know about like Jack Larson, I think can play, but I think it's just awful tough with what they have there. Like Ty Washington can obviously play. He's going to be in the mix, but Freisel is going to need a redshirt year, I believe,
Right.
He just needs to physically develop and learn how to play the position. But Premer's going to come in, and he's not coming until summer. He's just such a freak athlete and a different kind of guy that I think he is going to play because they know he's not going to stay 5 years. So he is going to play this year and probably be either tight end 3 or tight end 4 or whatever. But he's a guy who could, by the end of the year, help you in a big way. Right. So I love where they're at. I think like James Flammang, I am convinced he's going to be like an absolute stud. So, and Cooper Flammang is an NFL tight end. He's going to be an NFL tight end too. So, I think they're in great shape. I didn't think they needed to take a tight end at all. I didn't think they needed to take a tight end at all. Like if you were going to get somebody that you knew was like a total, so like Max Clare last year, if Max Clare was available this year and it was like, there was like a fit there and all that kind of stuff, I would have said, yeah, I think they could have gone after Max Clare, but I don't know if like Foley I think he's fine, but I wouldn't put him on the same level as Clare or anything like that. So, to me, it would have to been, it's the exact same kind of thing as running back. There's a guy that you thought, man, we just like this guy too much.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty obvious that if they really, really wanted Foley, they would have said, let's just do it anyways. Let's just go and get him. And I just don't think it ultimately came down to these resources can be put better other. And I think they were.
They took a bet and they won. They were right about that. From Tyler Borgman, is there a position group on the team now that you have concerns with?
No. To be honest, no. I mean, not in the same way that you have concerns in other years, right? Like the way that let's just start it. Let's just go from 2020 and on. So 2020 receiver, you're like, man, Javon McKinley, guy's barely played. He's gonna maybe start there at receiver. Well, they're bringing in Ben Skoranek. Okay, well, I mean, he was okay at Northwestern. Didn't really put up numbers. I know he had bad quarterback play and all that, and it was like, oh, man, I just looking not great at receiver. And they ended up being fine. It wasn't obviously awesome or anything. They ended up being fine there, but that was like major concerns at that position going forward. Like 2021 offensive line. Yeah, it was a problem for like the half the year until like they put in Joe Alt and all. There's all this. 2022 receiver again. Like that was a massive problem.
Quarterback
as well, right? As well. 2023 receiver again. Like, yeah, all this. Del Alexander, send this guy a bouquet of flowers. Thank you, Del Alexander, for these great years setting all that up there. But like it, that was a thing where they weren't in a great spot there. At that spot, you could look at like, I would say 2020. You could also look at like cornerback was not a good spot there. Like that was another.
Well,
like
cornerback, safety next to Kyle.
Yes. Or even just look at like pre-Xavier Watts at safety, at post Kyle, whatever, in between there. They didn't have the same level of that. Like they needed, like when Schuler kind of stepped up, and then it's like, oh, they got Schuler, and then they got and then they also have Rod Hurd, and they have this and that. Like they had all this talent there. That was when things started to kind of like formulate there. I mean, they've had years, 2015 at linebacker, like where or 2014 at linebacker, when they literally had like God, his name's escaping me right now. The receiver who converted receiver to James Onawalu.
Oh yeah.
And he ended up being a pretty good player, but he literally went from receiver to, hey, now you're starting rover. And it was a struggle, of course, because he shouldn't have been put in that position to play. He was not ready to play. But they didn't have any other options where they had to play Joe Schmidt. And yes, it's a nice story that Joe Schmidt, you should never be in a position where it's like, man, Joe Schmidt is the only guy who can play here at Mike linebacker. They had so many of those times, or a defensive line where it's like, man, they can only play 5 guys in the defensive line. That's just not a like the problems now are all like, who's the 4th defensive end? Who's this? That is the problem. Yeah. Those are the problems now. So I think if you're looking at it and you can say, well, what if this guy gets hurt? What if this, that? Sorry, when I'm plugged there. But backup quarterback, like we said, that is something if someone has to step in. Yeah, it is. But it's just like we mentioned yesterday. People thought it was a problem when Kaiser came in. And partially because of what the talent around him, he was able to succeed because of all the talent around him. So the roster is in great shape.
I think the position group that you have concern with is backup quarterback, because I do think it's kind of its own position group, and that's where it is. I also think too, like, and we talked about this before. The portal closes on, the 19th or whatever it is, tomorrow. When does the portal close? No, I think it's tomorrow. Today. The portal closes.
It's
today.
Today is the last day. So
it's the last day to go in. It's not the last day to sign.
Yeah, not the last day to sign. Yeah.
So you can go in the portal and just be there and then sign whenever.
Have to start classes by Monday though for Notre Dame, because
for
they've already started.
But right, to get on for the spring. But like you could come in the summertime if Notre Dame goes
technically
through spring,
you could, yeah.
If Notre Dame goes in through spring and they go through the whole thing and it's like this isn't going to work, they can still find someone who's in the portal now that we don't know about. So that's something to keep in mind. I just want to share this this tweet from Charlie Partridge. I think like he is without question the best tweeter that the staff has ever had. I think in a short stint, it's a low bar to clear. Because
there hasn't been a lot of personality shown.
It's very low bar to clear. Are you not entertained for Maximus?
I love it.
Guy, he's a good tweeter, man. Good for him. It's good to have that on.
I'll tell you what, too. First of all, I love that. It's so true. It's a very low bar. But when you're a guy like Charlie Partridge, and obviously he's been a great evaluator of talent, great developer of talent during his time at Pitt. When you're at Pitt, you're hoping for man, I hope Ohio State doesn't offer this kid.
Yeah.
Man, I hope this whatever. That's what you're hoping at Pitt. You might have found a gem, and you're like, please let nobody else know. And the one thing is like this happens all the time. When Charlie Partridge offers a guy, it's like Charlie Partridge offered this guy in South Florida. Better check him out. Then somebody watches him, and then all of a sudden, oh, now he's got an Oregon offer. Now he's got this offer, like whatever. So now the guy's like coming in, and they're just pulling in studs from the portal right away. What a glow up. Pat Narduzzi, just what a guy. What a guy.
I mean, it's like, it's like in Moana, Tafiti has gotten the heart back, and it's just like everything's green again, Gosh, what a week. What a week after last week specifically too. It's like it's only Wednesday, Lemon. It is Thursday, but it's just listen, Jamie, we potted live every four days in a row. And it was worth it, I think, because it was a fun time. Last week was not a fun time. We weren't having fun conversations, and the vibe wasn't as good. But it has completely flipped. And look, Notre Dame has done the thing that they needed to do to set themselves up to be one of the title favorites in 2026. They have answered the questions. They have filled the needs, and they just got to go build it. They got to go build the team. And I think everyone should be excited because it's just, man, it's the early 90s since the last time Notre Dame has had a roster like this, where you have depth, you have star power, you have youth. Again, this is all on the backdrop of signing the recruiting class that they just did.
Okay, this is totally off topic, but I just saw it because I was scrolling through Twitter, but just like ESPN, so the coach's film room is back for the national championship game.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a pass for me. Coach's film room, Mike Gundy, Steve Adazio, Dave Clawson. Hey, I got respect for Dave Clawson. Gene Chizik and rules analyst Jerry McGinn.
Oh God, rules analyst.
Could they not get somebody like get a Gary Patterson, like get somebody in there that like people were like, you know what, this guy's going to be unfiltered. He's going to really talk ball, all this. I mean, Mike Gundy could be totally unfiltered and unhinged. I'm sure he probably will be, but Steve Adazio and Gene Chizik. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there had to have been better off. I guess probably most of the other guys are just working. So just
doing important things.
Actually, they have actual jobs. So
yeah. So, all right. I think we can end it there. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whatever it is we are going live. We'll be back on Monday with Power Hour. Hey, Jamie, Mike's going to be happy on Monday. He's going to be in a good mood. So that's something for you to look forward to. We'll be live on Power Hour on Monday, and then we'll do our normal shows for Hit and Hustle next week. So, all right. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you on Monday. Keep hitting and hustling.